doing a core module my first year, having a lecturer just come and give like a monotone 50-minute talk on, I couldn't even tell you what it was, like it was that dull.
The lecture slides were very sparse. They put nothing on Blackboard.
There was a lecturer in first year and we just sat and watched videos, and to me that's not learning anything.
I had one lecturer in my third year and he was really engaging. He had great PowerPoints and he was always really friendly.
She really utilised the internet and was always posting links, always sending us things, which meant the lectures became real discussions, and you could say, oh, you know, I read this article and I was wondering what you thought about this, and it always related it back to things that were happening in the news, sort of like current affairs, which made it feel much more relevant.
He also used things like Quizdom, things like quizzes in between to check our knowledge, made it fun.
I always found my best lecturers were people who cared about what they were teaching and really cared that you wanted to know. So obviously research-led teaching lends itself more to that because the individual teaching has a real passion in what they're teaching, and that really shows through. But I think even when maybe it's like a core module that's being delivered by multiple staff, even when those staff take the time to get to know you, maybe have set a bit of time aside at the end for any sort of individual one-on-one questions, and like open up the room and move away from quite a passive learning experience for the student. I always enjoyed those much more. I always went to those lectures if I thought like the lecturer would care if I wasn't there. I would turn up.
A good lecturer is someone who is always attentive, good projected voice, someone who is highly organised, and someone you can associate easily with.
One that's interested in the subject and actually discusses stuff with students, because I found some lecturers, like they obviously tell you the material, but then they're not always there when you need them.
An effective lecture, I think, has to be structured. I think the lecturer has to know before they go in, what they're going to teach and the aim of what they want the students to get out. They shouldn't just be turning up thinking, today I'm going to teach cognitive psychology, and then just reel off like everything they know about cognitive psychology. There needs to be a structure, a break, some aims, keep going back. So if you teach something, go back, check they know it. Think of it more as teaching, not lecturing.
I think group work is really important, and a good PowerPoint as well, because it's hard to get lost. It's easy to get lost even sometimes.
So lecturers they have like key points on the slides, but then when they're talking about the material, they go into a lot of detail, so it gives you the opportunity to make lots of notes. So then when you're preparing for your exams, you have notes to go back to.
Clear slides, not too fast, not too slow. You want to be able to write. Steady pace. You don't want to have to be rushing through things. I always like a lecture that has a good reading list, either prior or post lecture.
Not using technology is really ineffective. I think if you just have a piece of paper or a whiteboard, but on the other hand, even if you use technology, using it in the right way, there's no point using a PowerPoint slide if you're just going to turn and face the slide and just read off it. That's pointless. I think you need something that's kind of catchy, memorable, short, snappy, pictures, video clips.
A lecture that's broken into certain sections, so maybe you've got it's not just constant reading off slides and writing down things. You've got maybe a video or maybe an active session where you're actually interacting with your fellow students and the lecturer yourself.
Showing that they're engaged, getting the students' attention, and being just like positive and motivated.
What I've noticed is, well, it's basically the nerves. When I go in, I'm a bit tensed up, and sometimes when I'm tensed up, I tend to forget some of the things I've come into the class to say.
Well, when I get to the sort of 200 odd students that I'm lecturing to, or 220, what I find difficult is getting all of them, or a larger proportion of them, to participate in the lecture.
When I start my lessons with enthusiasm, I can get through the 2 hours, but not every day I have the same drive.
So yeah, it's a challenging situation where we kind of, I'm speaking and think, oh dear, I don't like the way my voice is coming across, and yet can't quite find what I need to change it and make it more mellifluous.
I'm Stuart Theobald, and I run a company called Talking Shop Training. And for the past 20 plus years, I've been working in different universities, currently got about 30 university clients. So I travel around the country running workshops and coaching in various aspects of communication, but particularly around voice, presentation skills, performance in lecturing, that type of thing. If you assume that you hadn't seen me before, and this is the first thing you see, in fact, I'm going to go outside and I'm going to come in and imagine I'm just about to come in and run a workshop on presentation skills. Is that okay? Good morning. Welcome to Presentation Skills. I'm Stuart Theobald. Oh, sorry. So presentation skills, this is what we'll be covering today. Discuss planning and preparing for a successful presentation. We will look at the impact and use of visual aids. We'll explore the elements of a positive presentation. We'll discuss the use of microphones, look at delivery skills. So the schedule at 9:30, introduction, oh sorry about that. We'll take a break about 11 o'clock and then we'll finish at 12:30. So introduction, my name is Stuart Theobald. I have been running workshops and coaching since 1992. I currently work for over 20 universities. I'm very pleased to be here at Aberystwyth again. So let's get started. And that's a picture of an elephant. So we'll stop there, that's enough, isn't it? So if you'd never seen me before and I came in and did that, what would be your first thought? No eye contact? Okay, so there's no engagement at all with you. And there was no eye contact as soon as I came in through the door.
It looked like it was either a lack of self-confidence or you just didn't want to be here.
I get mixed feedback. Some people feel a bit sorry for me because they say you look nervous. And other people just get really annoyed because they said you didn't really want to be here, you didn't care about us. And I wanted to get up and walk out. On balance, which one would you have gone for?
Nerves, I think.
So what was it that made you think I was nervous?
I guess sort of looking down, not looking at the audience, speaking quietly.
Yes.
And rushing through slides.
So it's looking really at yourself, around body language, around voice, around engaging with an audience. And it's also about reflecting a little bit on an audience and adjusting and flexing your style if need be to engage more successfully with your students. There's a chart that looks like this. Whoops. When I walk through the door and I start my talk, this is how you decide if I'm going to be any good or not. So making a decision as to whether someone is good as a storyteller or engaging as a lecturer, 55% of your decision making will be based on their body language. If we stand behind a piece of furniture, if we read from notes, if we spend all our time looking at PowerPoint slides, we're not engaging with the audience. Now, given that whatever you do physically or do vocally, this second bit is logical, because this second bit is vocal tone. Your voice, the tone of your voice, the variety in your voice, the resonance and so on. If you're relaxed and at ease, you'll have that lovely, warm, resonant voice that will naturally give you more authority. If you're tight and tense, the voice goes up in pitch, it gets tight here, raises the pitch of the voice, that will give you less authority, of course, because you look nervous perhaps, you look uneasy. This bit of it, the 7%, well, that was the story itself, the actual words. So when you prepare, this is what I like you to be aware of, really. Your body Remember language. That it's just a conversation. If you can think about when you're at your best, when you have a conversation with someone, when you find it really stimulating yourself, if you can recreate that in front of maybe a couple of hundred students, but it's the same feeling of, I just enjoy this subject, I like talking about it, and if you can share that with your audience, which may just mean all you have to do is be yourself. Sometimes it's as simple as that. If you can just be yourself in front of an audience, sometimes that's enough. Let's look at nerves a little bit. If you do get a little bit nervous before you present, how do you know? How do you know you're nervous? You were talking about getting a bit nervous beforehand, so how do you know?
I sense I'm tensed up.
You feel tense. Where do you feel the tension?
I don't know. I just feel it. I don't know where, but I just feel tensed up and
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
thinking quite a lot about everything.
Yes. So the first thing you mentioned was the tightness. So if we put that down as body, that's the physical thing. Okay, so you feel physically tense. Yeah. And most people would feel tense, the shoulders, the neck, sort of up the back here. in the jaw, quite often we feel a bit tight in the chest perhaps. Typically that's where we feel the tension. Okay, great. And then you said there's a lot of thoughts. So we'll put that down as mind. What goes through your mind? It's very difficult to disconnect these two. Well, it's impossible to disconnect the two. So therefore, if I change my physiology, I will change my mindset. If I change my mindset, I change my physiology. So it might be worth just reflecting a little bit on A, what do you notice when you get nervous, and B, therefore, what could you do to change it, and where would be the best place? And for most people, it's changing the physiology. So if it's just simple things like rolling your shoulders around and loosening off and getting the body looser, because that's where you feel the tension, that could be enough. Then you need to prepare yourself vocally, and whatever you do physically, you'll do vocally, I said. So therefore, changing your physiology will have a direct impact on your voice. And you might want to do some exercises, like singing exercises. If you've had any singing lessons, if you've sung in a choir, all these things are great before you go out and give a lecture. You have to start here, and then you work onto the voice. That will, of course, have an impact on your mindset. So this can be a positive or a negative cycle. Good. So that's enough then, isn't it? That's enough for me talking. So we got our feet and do some exercises. Is that right? Just take a little walk around the room for a moment. I like to notice how you walk. Have you ever done this before? Just walk around the room. Notice what you notice. Which bit of your body went first when you started to walk? Did you notice? Feet. Knees. And this is an Alexander technique. And Alexander, as we said, was an actor, lost his voice and so on, and worked on these movement things. He said, if you want to be relaxed and at ease, you need to lead with your knees. So if you lead with your knees, if the knee goes first, you're probably going to stand in quite a relaxed way. And when you stand, you want to have soft knees. So if you've got soft knees, you'll breathe more easily, you'll move more easily, you'll look more confident, you'll sound more confident, and you'll have more resonance in your voice. So we want a softness in the body. So get yourself nice and loose. Loosen off those shoulders. This is all part of the warm-up for me. Get both shoulders going if you can. Get both arms nice and loose and floppy. Put a big bend in your knees. If you can do this safely, be careful. Let your chin go onto your chest. Drop your body forward and then just shake your body out. And in fact, shake your voice out. Good, and then hang like this. Hang down. Let your neck go soft. Let your arms hang heavy. Breathe deeply into your back. That's good. And then slowly back up into a nice relaxed posture. It's the posture that Rudolf Laban described as the door plane. He said when you stand in the door plane, which is like the door frame, standing very square, feet hip shoulder width apart, softness in the knees, you will think most clearly. I'm going to do some breathing exercises with you and a bit of voice, warming up your voice. Now when you lie on the floor like this, you may instinctively notice you breathe into the abdomen. So that's the main purpose. But first of all, we'll do it together. So breathe into your belly and sigh out. So just breathe in, and then let it go. Then breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and release, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we want to go for a nice, soft, easy, slightly breathy, and then sustain that for a moment. Like to notice and imagine the voice is coming from your belly. Then what I used to do when I was an actor, I'd lie on the floor like this every night before going on stage. I'd never go on stage before doing this. And what I used to do was practice everything I was going to say lying on the floor, just talking to the ceiling. And what I found was it developed a muscle memory between the abdominal support with the belly and the voice travelling up and through the ceiling. So breathe down into your belly, put your voice right up into the room above, breathe down and hello, my name is Kim. Good, let's put them up on the roof then, breathe down into your belly and hello, my name is Kim. So we're looking for how dare you rather than how dare you. If you find yourself doing that, that's going to put a lot of strain on your voice. So to get that nice, rich, resonant tone, how dare you. One more time, breathe down and how dare you. How dare you. So we're going to go through the window now then. So that's how far you need to project. Ready? Through the window out the other side, do it all together. Breathe down and how dare you. Good, good. Pick a tree then. Ready? Somebody in the tree, mean it. Breathe down and how dare you. Okay, sounds good to me. Sounds fantastic. What we're listening for is a nice freedom of voice. So if you can reach those trees,
without going tight and squeezing, and keeping that lovely warmth, resonance in your voice. You can project to any space you want.